welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, India's benchmark indices continued to gain for the third consecutive session as of yesterday to again hit a fresh record closing high. Both the last two trading sessions of this week have actually seen the Nifty inch very close to that 25,000 milestone, but then retrace from those levels as well and give up the gains that they occur in the morning edition or the morning session of the trading space. Now, it will be the last trading day of the month today and on Wednesday, and as volatile the month has been, the index has managed to gain about 3.5% since the start of this month. Now, this is also going to be an interesting day because a lot of earnings reactions, earnings heavy day it will pan out to be. Stocks like Tata Consumer Products, Dixon, Indus Towers, Navin Fluorine, Torrent Power, Macrotech, these will be the numbers that will be getting reaction from the markets today, while for others there'll be several more stocks that will come out with their earnings like Coal India, M&M, Maruti, Tata Steel. They will all be reporting the results along with some broader names like Adani Power, Ambuja Cements, even Aster DM Healthcare, Bank of Baroda, BHEL, Deepak Fertilizers, Birla Soft. So those are the kind of companies that will be coming out with the results even today. So it's going to be an interesting day. We'll just have to see whether again the markets will make an attempt to probably climb above that 25,000 mark and sustain there. Good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are smack in the middle of the week. It's the weekly expiry of the Bank Nifty, and of course everything is in suspended animation, ladies and gentlemen. 2 consecutive days of the Nifty at 24,850 doing absolutely nothing, waiting for either bulls to take it beyond 25,000 or for bears to break 24,750. And what is keeping everything in suspended animation is going to happen at 11:30 p.m. today. It's the US Federal Reserve's decision-making day as far as the trajectory of interest rates is seen on Wall Street. And at 12 midnight, it will be the US Federal Reserve Chair, Jeremy Powell, who will be speaking. So forget us, Asia and Wall Street. All of them are absolutely quiet when it comes to main indices. The risk of trade is in place and people are waiting to get a sense of direction from Wall Street as to what is likely to happen on interest rate. Most likely, he will say a cut in September, but only time will tell. Nevertheless, let's come back to our markets and you see the daily chart of the Nifty, which we present on a very regular basis, 21 points higher, 24,857. That's what the index is, and there was a selling pressure that came in late afternoon, somewhere between 2:45 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. The high was 24,971, and then the index slipped about 120 points in the last half an hour of trade to close almost near the day's low, which was 24,818. The close, of course, is 24,857. Now, even today, it's going to remain quiet and wait for the event. But it's the end of July, and what a fantastic month it has been. 850 points the index added in a span of about 21 working sessions, including the national budget, in which you saw a fairly decent sell-off and then an intermediate pickup of equities. So consolidating phase over the next 1 or 2 sessions. Let's see what happens. Qs are absolutely flat. In terms of gainers, it's ONGC that's the top performing stock on the Nifty over the past 21 trading sessions, up exactly 21%. Axis Bank has disappointed. The earnings were terrible and it's down 7%, making it the worst performing Nifty stock. It's the weekly expiry of the Bank Nifty. Again, the index itself is flat over the last 5 trading sessions. It's done nothing at all. 51,500 is where it shut shop yesterday. And of course, you have Bandhan as the top performer after a stunning set of numbers, and Kotak Bank is leading the losers brigade. Axis Bank, HDFC and Kotak were the 3 losers in this week as far as Bank Nifty is concerned. Sakshi, the focus will now be cash, and it's good news for cash investors, their patience and their how should I say, sticking to their not leveraged trades is paying off handsomely. Now you will see cash volumes rising dramatically because the SEBI consultative paper on how to curb derivatives trading in India is set to tighten its nose around derivatives trading. So futures volume will be hit, of course derivatives volume will be hit, simply because two major changes are afoot. The consultative paper asks exchanges, the NSE and the BSE, to choose one index for a weekly expiry. So either you will have the Nifty on the BSE, on the NSE, and they will do away with Bank Nifty, Fin Nifty, and of course the BSE will retain Sensex and do away with Bank X. So a lot of things will now go out of the window. So Nifty, Mid Cap Select, Fin Nifty, Bank Nifty are likely to disappear as far as the weekly expiry is concerned, and of course Bank X from the stable of the BSE. So a lot of hits will be taken on brokerage stocks such as Angel, exchanges such as BSE. All those listed brokerage companies that were rising dramatically will now show a sharp erosion in price. What will remain in focus? Cash counters such as railways, such as PSU banks, such as defense companies, and of course keep an eye out on REITs. Remember, REITs rally on Monday started at 699. The company will meet today to discuss a bonus issue. Earnings, Sakshi has mentioned, 4 from Nifty, in particular Coal India and Tata Steel will be watched, and 6 from the F&O space, including BHEL and Ambuja Cement. So these are the 3 or 4 things I am watching. As far as the Nifty is concerned, ladies and gentlemen, mild profit booking should likely to continue, but if you get an opportunity around 24,750, that's the time to grab it for an intraday level. That's where the option support is. Avoid options trading for the next 1 or 2 sessions. Only option sellers will make some money because the market is in a consolidative range ahead of the Fed meeting. Let's get back to Sakshi, check out what's happening on Wall Street, how the foreign institutional inflows have come into India, and of course what the brokerage bazaar is saying. Sakshi.
Right, Shail. So US equities, the S&P 500, Nasdaq both closed lower as of Tuesday. We did see the Nasdaq slipping about 1.3% in the overnight trading session, S&P dropping 0.5%. Although it was, this is of course weighed down by weak chip and mega cap shares right ahead of the earnings from heavyweight tech companies this week. But the Dow Jones that managed to have some modest gains of about 0.5% overnight. Again tonight, US stocks are expected to react to Microsoft and of course the Fed policy meet outcome, which we will also see tomorrow how it impacts our Asia markets and of course our markets too. The US 10-year bond yield eased to 4.15%. Among commodities, gold futures rallied strongly, $24.50 an ounce levels, while WTI crude futures hovered around $75 a barrel. In the Asian markets, we did see the Nikkei and the Taiwan, they slipped about 0.5% each in the morning trade. It was about a 0.7% decline right now, you can see on the Nikkei. Kospi, however, is up by about 0.1%, and the Hang Seng and the Shanghai Index are also up by about 0.4% each. Now, the Indian equity indices are likely to start on a muted note. The GIFT Nifty is indicating absolutely a flat start for the markets today. As far as the overseas investors go, they stayed net sellers of the Indian equities for the second straight day again. Foreign portfolio investors offloaded stocks worth 5,598 odd crore rupees in yesterday's trade. The domestic institutional investors, however, stayed net buyers for the sixth straight session, and they bought equities worth about 5,565 odd crore rupees as well. Now, as far as some of the stocks are concerned, we'll look at Titagarh Rail, the Kolkata-based company that reported numbers, 8.4% year-on-year increase in its net profit at 67 crores. We've also seen the company's revenue dip about 0.9%, however, to 903 odd crore rupees in trade. We've also seen Indus Towers come out with the numbers. The firm reported a 42.9% year-on-year jump in the net profit. So strong bottom line right there for the company. And we've also seen the company's revenue increase, however, just about 4.3% to 7,383 odd crore rupees right there. When we talk about Navin Fluorine, the net profit slipped down almost 17% to 51.2 crores. The revenue inched higher by 6.6% to 523 odd crore rupees. EBITDA was lower. Even the margins shrank to 19.2% from 23.3% last year. Moil reported its numbers. Strong quarter, but in line with estimates. Revenue up by about 30% to 493 crores. EBITDA up 72% to 214 crores. Margins also came in higher at 43.37% from 32.7%, and even the bottom line improved to up by about 76 odd percent to 152 odd crore rupees. In fact, the company had taken 3 successive price hikes, and that's what has helped the company in the June quarter. South Indian Bank, the board has approved raising of funds to the tune of 750 crores via QIP, FPO and other methods. So we'll continue to keep an eye out on as to what developments does the company announce. And Adani Energy Solutions, remember yesterday I was indicating that there will be a QIP announcement. It's now launched a QIP to raise funds, floor price of 1027 odd per rupees per share, which is a 9.5% discount to Tuesday's closing price. So we'll continue to keep an eye out on how the stock moves. Yesterday there was a sharp 7% uptick on the stock. Zaggle Prepaid in Q1 FY25, the consolidated YOY numbers show that the revenue was up at 252 odd crore rupees versus 118 crores. EBITDA also up at 22 crores versus 8 odd crore rupees. So margins also improved to 8.9% versus 6.7%, and the net profit came in at 17 crores versus just about a 2 crore profit that was reported last time. Johnson Controls and Hitachi also reported its numbers. Revenue up 75.6% for the company at 996 odd crores. EBITDA also came in operationally profits versus loss to 57 odd crore rupees. Margins at 5.7%. We've also seen the net profit come in at into black, 36 odd crore rupees versus a loss of 41 odd crore rupees. Vari Renewables, of course, the earnings management will be with us during the course of the day. Revenue up by about 83.3% at 236 odd crore rupees. EBITDA came in at 41 odd crores, while the margins also came in sharply higher at 17.4% versus 10.4%. Even the net profit was sharply higher to 28 crores versus 9 crore rupees earlier. 361 WAM has reported its numbers. Total revenue up 60.6% at 697 crores. Net profit up 34% to 243 odd crore rupees. GAIL came out with the numbers. Revenue up 6% to 34,738 crores versus, when we look at the kind of profits that are up 77.5% at 3,183 odd crore rupees. So those are some of the numbers that we'll be keenly watching out for, Shail.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our dear friend Mr. Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President at Geojit Financial Securities, joins us from Mumbai. नमस्कार गौरांग जी, स्वागत है आपका। सबसे पहले ज़रा चर्चा करते हैं किस हिसाब से आप इस सेबी के इस कंसल्टेटिव पेपर को देख रहे हैं, जहां पर लगाम लगानी चाहिए वो ना सिर्फ लगाम कस दी गई है, लगता है सांस भी आनी बंद हो जाएगी। आप खुद जियोजित फाइनेंशियल्स का P&L अकाउंट हैंडल करते हैं। ब्रोकर्स पर क्या असर पड़ेगा, रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स को क्या करना चाहिए, और आप और हम जैसे कैश इन्वेस्टर्स के लिए शायद पुराना समय वापस आया है।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जल जी आपका, और आपको, साक्षी को और BT टीवी के सभी दर्शकों को हमारा सादर प्रणाम और शुभ प्रभात। तो मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि ये वार्तालाप वाला सफेद कागज ही रह जाए, जिसे आप व्हाइट कंसल्टिंग पेपर कहते हैं। इससे आगे बढ़े नहीं, ये उम्मीद कर सकते हैं हम शैल जी। अगर माई बाप कुछ करना चाहते हैं तो हम और आप कुछ कर नहीं सकते, ये भी एक वास्तविकता है, और जो वो कहेंगे हमें करना पड़ेगा। एक तरफ सत्य ये भी है कि बहुत भारी भरकम नुकसान, और औपचारिक स्तर पर ये डेटा NSE, BSE, सेबी के द्वारा भी दिया गया है कि 10 में से 7 या 8 लोग नुकसान करते हैं। आज ये जो 60,000 करोड़ का आंकड़ा नुकसान FNO में आया है, इसमें कहीं ना कहीं गलती जो कारोबारी है उनकी है, क्योंकि आपको बार बार सावधान करने के पश्चात भी अगर आपको एक लत लग गई है तो इसमें संस्था औपचारिक स्तर पर रेगुलेटर क्या कर सकते हैं, इंटरमीडिएटरीज क्या कर सकते हैं, और बाकी अन्य जो औपचारिक स्तर पर संस्थाएं हैं वो क्या कर सकती हैं। RBI गवर्नर ने भी मेरे ख्याल से कुछ समय पहले, आपको याद होगा शैल जी, कि बैंकों में एफडी कम जा रही है, शेयर बाजार में ज्यादा पैसा जा रहा है। अब आप मेच्योर्ड इंसान को या व्यक्ति को हाथ पकड़कर चलना तो नहीं सिखा सकते। हाँ, उसको सावधान कर सकते हैं, लेकिन आखिरकार उस व्यक्ति के ऊपर निर्भर है कि उसको क्या निर्णय लेना है। क्या उसको सट्टे में शेयर बाजार में पैसा डालना है, महालक्ष्मी में जो हॉर्स रेस होती है, घोड़े दौड़ते हैं, वहां पर डालना है, या फिर ऑनलाइन गेमिंग में पैसे डालने हैं, या फिर आपको निवेश करना है, या एफएनओ में आपको सट्टा खेलना है, ये वो व्यक्ति निर्धारित करेगा। आप उसको खाली एक मार्गदर्शन कर सकते हैं, आप उसको प्रतिबंध नहीं कर सकते कि आप शेयर बाजार में सट्टा मत कीजिए, आप सिर्फ बैंक एफडी में डालिए, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह। तो एक कारण बिल्कुल है थोड़ा बहुत। और कल मेरे ख्याल से जो आखिर के 1-2 घंटे में हमने बाजार में नीचे के तरफ का दायरा देखा, वो मेरे ख्याल से इसी के कारण था, क्योंकि कल से ये चर्चाएं आ रही थी और ये बातचीत हो रही थी। एसटीटी को लेकर के भी, लॉन्ग टर्म एंड शॉर्ट टर्म कैपिटल गेन टैक्स के लेकर भी कल कुछ अफवाहें बाजार में आई थी, उसके कारण भी बाजार थोड़ा बहुत नीचे आया। तो हम सिर्फ उम्मीद कर सकते हैं शैल जी, अगर माई बाप कुछ कहते हैं या फिर कानून बना देते तो उसका पालन हमें करना पड़ेगा।
Gaurang, very good morning to you. This is a very important topic and therefore we will spend a few more minutes on this. 7 steps have been indicated by the SEBI in their consultation paper with the way in which they want to curb speculation in the F&O space. The one thing that they've highlighted within those 7 steps is rationalization of the weekly options that even Shail was alluding to right before you joined in. What is the kind of impact? Is it really necessary to do that? And if you could just broadly help us understand whether rationalization of weekly options will be something that will be manageable at this point in time without causing a lot of stir in the markets.
Sakshi, my counter question is, who got in all these things? You and me or Shell did not get all this, various expiries. It was the exchange and the regulator who gave the approval for that. And at that point of time, you had the wisdom that you should have not done something like this. I mean, you have weekly expiry, you have monthly expiry, you have this, you have that, you have Fin Nifty. I mean, what on earth are you trying to do? I mean, you are only going to, give fuel to the fire when you do these kind of things. So, I mean, they got in all these things and it is up to them. I mean, if they want to regulate it, fine. If they want to get rid of certain expiries, so be it. But I mean, you and me did not bring in all these things. It was the authorities and the exchanges who got all these things. And now that they have realized or they have woken up to the bright side of life, they might take appropriate steps. Honestly speaking, Sakshi, if you bring in such more short-term products, the more speculation it will lead to. I can only say that. The rest I will leave it to the wisdom of the authorities.
Right. Gaurang, let's take this conversation a little forward. Was it possible for SEBI to retain the weekly expiries and maybe dramatically increase the size of the contract and the margin needed? That would have somehow eliminated the retail investor and at the same time kept the product in place and probably let this become an institutional market. Now actually what you've done is you've thrown the baby out with the bath water. And also futures was something which retailers introduced and understood and were actually making decent profits. Now futures volume will also be hit and probably within options those who are really into it will move to the further month options where the price is less.
Michelle, you can look at things in your life with two perspectives. Either you be optimistic or you be pessimistic. Either you look at it as glass half full or glass half empty. Increasing the value of the contract would have led to more incremental leeway given to a client by a particular intermediary. This is my opinion. I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong, Shell. Prohibiting or barring the product altogether would possibly put some peace in place with respect to the issues that the authorities want to address. Uh, you know, I mean, there was a time when the contract size was much, much lower, Shell. You and me know that. We know what kind of activity used to happen then, and we
Yes.
know what kind of activity is happening now, given the fact that you have a decent incremental upside in terms of the size of the contract or the value of the contract. So, it is only something that you have to, trial and error, share. You can't put a final statement in or judgment in place before you have gone and experienced something or executed something. So, difficult to say, Shell. I can't put a final judgment to it. I'm no one to put a judgment to it, to be very honest with you.
Yes.
But let's hope it works.
Gaurang, we'll also try and understand from you, after these indications, we understood right from the time the union budget also came out with the announcements of STT and the way SEBI was keeping a very keen eye in the entire F&O space, talking about the instances from last 4-5 months odd or so. This was bound to happen. We were somewhere expecting SEBI to come out with some severe steps to check the severe volumes, the leverage that is there and the hurt it causes to a large part of investors. But I want to understand from you, if this goes through, what are the things that average retail investors must really keep in mind while taking the next step forward?
So I've said this often in my interaction with different channels, and I think on our channel also weekly now. I said that if people would have become billionaires by trading into the stock market, whether it is cash market or whether it is futures or whether it is put and call, that is options, Sakshi, there would not be poverty in our country or anywhere in the world. Everybody would be having a smartphone, would have got registered with whatever discount brokerages are available, expose themselves to the hardcore reality of life, and then they would have learned the lesson. Uh, the fact is also that a lot of people don't know the exact meaning of futures and options. They don't understand it. Fact is also, Sakshi, that we have got a lot of fin influencers in place who have taken due advantage, and it has led to a lot of unsolicited, advice coming for free, and then the result is known to you and me. So, I mean, and this is just the beginning. Possibly once you go forward into more advanced technology like generative AI, this, that, and all that, if it is used in the right way, it's a blessing. If it is not, then it's a curse. So before, you let the bubble grow in size more than what it can take, it is always better to put a pin in place and address the issue. There will be many more such instances. This is not the end of it, Sakshi, let's face it. I think
Yeah.
forward they will possibly do something more in case if things are not getting within the control. And then
Okay.
steps will be taken.
I think Sakshi and Gaurang, the solution is what SEBI has thought in terms of that intermediate product that they are trying to launch between 10 and 50 lakh rupees, and of course, somehow tightening the regulatory belt along unidentified and unregistered influencers as well as offerers of services on Instagram, on Facebook. Let's accept it. This was a big problem around us, and I can relate so many instances where people who used to meet me regularly, Gaurang, have no idea about USD INR. In my lifetime, I've never done a USD INR trade. They were trading US dollars. मतलब कुछ पता ही नहीं है उन्हें, लेकिन क्योंकि ट्रेड कर सकते हैं तो कर रहे थे और लाखों रुपए का नुकसान. So this is work in progress. Let us see how exchanges react, how brokerages give up. Remember, as Gaurang said, this is a white consultative paper. A lot of options, my apologies, a lot of opinions will be discussed, and then a final solution will come in. But even in the cash market, Sakshi, till about 10-12 years ago, just 10% margin was required. Now you have to keep money in your trading account to sell a share. So it's not as if that the market has been killed. It's been made more, how should I say, secure. Probably you could do futures with 100% margin. Why not? But only time will tell. Let's get back to the market, Gaurang. 24,999.75. We missed 25,000 with a whisker. When is it coming?
Well, I think that mark is possibly going to be a little bit elusive, at least in the near term. I mean, with the steps that the SEBI and the respective authorities are planning to take, I think there will be a little bit of concern on the street, a little bit of nervousness. But 25,000 again, Shail, is just a number. I think I will aim for 30,000 and 35,000 and beyond on the Nifty as we go forward from here on. As they say, age is just a number. Same way for the Sensex and index, the level is just a number. We are capable of doing much better from what we have done, and we are able to. We are capable enough to deliver much better than what we have delivered. So possibly, maybe August will be the month when we can possibly conquer that peak 25,000. And once we do that, Shail, if we are able to close on a closing basis on the Nifty spot, if we are able to give a close above 25,000, then this week on Monday we have given out levels of 25,200 and 25,400. So this would be the most logical way to look at the markets. This week, because of news flows, it could be a little bit choppy, but hope August can cheer us in terms of peak 25.
आगे 25,000.
But we'll just very quickly look at the pre-open rates, and then 25,000 is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. This is how should I say, a free trade, 234 points on top of Nifty. Let's see what's contributed it. It's TCS 37 rupees higher, ICICI Bank 60 rupees higher, Reliance flat as flat can be, HDFC Bank 20 rupees higher, L&T 15, and of course Hindustan Unilever 1.5% higher. Let's hope this is true, and with this, just as the market has ignored every possible effort made by the government to put retail back in the can, let's see what the market takes cognizance of this consultative paper from SEBI. Nifty 500, let's look at how stocks are moving. If Gaurang is here, why will defense not fire up? Mazgaon Dock is opening 10% higher, 5384. Let's look at the top gainers. Garden Reach 15% higher. This is, I don't think so these prices are right. Sakshi, would you look at your side? I don't think so my prices are correct.
It's 5% higher, I think, Shail, 2561 for Garden Reach right here that we can see. Let's also look at a slew of heavyweight names to see whether the momentum is spread across. Let's look at Infosys, RIL, HDFC Bank to get a sense of how the heavyweight counters are really reacting. At this point in time, Infosys down 1% at 1859. So the IT space seems a little dull at this point in time. We are RIL is also at 3005, down about 0.7%. We look at HDFC Bank and see whether there is any kind of a momentum within the leader of the pack. Yes, 1.1% higher, 1633. Let's also look at some of the other banking names to see whether the banking stocks are going to be taking that lead today. IndusInd Bank, ICICI Bank. Let's look at Axis and Kotak also to see whether the momentum is spread across, and then we'll come to understanding and seeing how the result reactions are also playing their part in the morning trade. 3.3% lower for Axis Bank, so that is definitely staying away from the participation that the banks are showing. Kotak is 0.5% higher in trade. Let's look at some of the stocks. Adani Energy Solutions, let's look at that one because there was this report of QIP and fundraise that's the company is looking at, how that one is also reacting. I think another 1% higher after that 7% move yesterday. Let's look at Vari Renewable Technologies, strong earnings on both revenue as well as on the profitability figure. As far as Vari Renewables is concerned, let's look at how that one is also opening up in trade. We'll also look at several other result reactions, like GAIL came out with the numbers, MOIL came out with the numbers from the energy basket, so that will be extremely important. Torrent Power came out with the numbers. Let's look at all of those factors as well as to how they are playing up into the morning, pre-opening tradition as well. If you look at the Nifty, that slipped into the red right now, so some rationalization coming back, which was being indicated by GIFT Nifty right now. 24,835 for the Nifty, down about 23 odd points. Let's look at the stocks that I had pointed out. Vari, because I'm guessing that the stock should be reacting positively after that stellar set of numbers. And PCR, can we pull up Vari Renewable Technologies to see how the stock is? Okay, let's also pull up 361 WAM to see how the reaction is, and Zaggle Prepaid. Let's look at that one too, as to how that is also reacting to the numbers. Meanwhile, we'll also get back to Gaurang to really help us understand on the several brokerage houses reports. Zaggle is opening sharply high, in fact, 4% uptick right now. But there were several upgrades from brokerage houses overnight that we've seen that I wanted Gaurang's view on. First, on the IT space and persistent systems, there's a very strong report from CLSA. Let's pull up persistent systems also, PCR. CLSA upgraded the stock from underperform to outperform. Target has been substantially moved higher to 55.25. They had a 16.75 target earlier, and they believe that the mid-teen high revenue growth is definitely going to sustain. They are also looking at a 16% potential upside. What would you say on persistent?
So Sakshi, the numbers were just out. The coverage, we do have coverage. Let me give a disclosure, but that is under review. According to the numbers, mid-cap IT has been delivering a very decent set of numbers, barring, I think it was third and the fourth quarter last financial year, FY24, wherein we saw a little bit of, downward numbers from one or two IT companies, which led to the entire mid-cap IT go into a little bit of consolidation zone. But whatever we have seen up until now, including persistent systems and likewise, I think the numbers are quite encouraging, along with the large cap boys who have delivered better numbers than what the street had estimated. So we do have coverage, but since it is under review, I can't give out a specific comment on buy, sell and hold, but numbers look impressive.
Gaurang, the other view is on the quarterlies that have come so far. While markets have run up dramatically, none of at least the large caps give you any hope towards the kind of momentum that the market is already in. How do you analyze especially earnings coming in from Nifty companies? Do you see any hope for the next 2 or 3 quarters, or is the market headed for a sideways kind of a move over the next 2-3 months after two major events are over, national elections and of course the budget?
Elections will never be over in our country, Shail. That's the sad part. You have some election or the other in some state throughout the year, or maybe Gram Panchayat or a municipal election, etc., etc. So I think consolidation should be the order of the day. I do agree with you that most of the large cap names that we have numbers till now, Q1 FY25, they have not really given you that kind of excitement compared to what the market is throwing at us. Where do we see the improvement coming through? I think after second quarter, possibly in the second half of FY25, is when we see a decent amount of improvement in earnings, and probably because I think we've seen good monsoon. June was a little bit lackluster. July has done the catch up. August is likely to be in line with what the expectation is. Consumption boost given by the Honorable Finance Minister, whatever policy changes that she has done with respect to semi-urban and rural India, I think that should possibly, prop up your spending power, and that may lead to a little bit of more better set of numbers coming in from corporate India from second half FY25.
Gaurang, I think Maharashtra elections will be the cornerstone of response, how retail investors as also the middle class will respond to this triple whammy that's been imposed on it by the budget. You have rising capital gains tax, you have indexation being taken out of real estate, and of course all the other higher taxes that we continue to pay. So let's see what Maharashtra throws up for the BJP. This is something which is possibly the closest that you could come to, because real estate is a big topic in Mumbai, and of course all of Maharashtra invests in a far more dramatically higher fashion than states like Uttar Pradesh or up northerns. Nifty 29 points higher, 24,886. What's in the green? ICICI Bank 10 rupees higher, 1219. ITC 2 rupees 55 higher. Lever higher by about 13.6. What's slipping? It's Infosys that's flat, HDFC Bank flat, L&T down 7 rupees and Reliance down 18. Axis Bank down 13 rupees as well. As good a time as any to welcome Osho Krishnan. Good afternoon to you, Osho, and good morning to you, Osho, and a very warm welcome on Business Today Television. Your two stocks that are likely to outperform in trade today on the long or the short side compared with broader markets.
To me, our first one has given a very strong breakout, that is Tata Communication. Tata Communication yesterday has seen a very drastic upsurge above the zone of 1900, and I'm expecting that it should sustain above the zone of 1900 in the coming period also. So Tata Communication is the first buy with a target of approximately 1960 on a positional basis and 1940 for the day. And I'm expecting a very strong support is placed around the zone of 1870, 1865 odd levels. So it is advisable to keep a stop loss around 1860 for a higher target of nearly 1960 for Tata Communication. The other counter which is looking very positive is from the chemical zone. RCF is looking very positive. It has seen a very strong reversal from the 20-day exponential moving average, and in the last 3 trading sessions we are witnessing a kind of buying traction in this counter. So I'm expecting that this should also continue its upsurge. So RCF is a buy recommendation for the target of nearly 232, and on the lower end 210 should be kept as the stop loss.
Very good morning to you, Osho. I just wanted to get a sense on these energy basket names that have been all doing very well of late, especially after the earnings. How are you looking at stocks like GAIL, mining stocks like MOIL? How would you really trade these kind of stocks?
See, overall, firstly, energy counter is looking very positive. Overall, NTPC, Power Grid, GAIL, you mentioned MOIL, all these counters are looking very positive. GAIL specifically is approximately opening around 3% on the higher levels, which will be giving a very fresh breakout in this counter. So I'm expecting that there can be a strong follow-up buying that can be seen in these counters. So for GAIL specifically, I'm expecting that in the short run, it should give a target of nearly 250, 52 odd levels. On a very short term perspective, it has given a V-shaped recovery. So with that target approximately comes around the zone of 265 approx levels. So those levels should be watched for in GAIL, and on the lower end approximately 232 to 235 is a very strong support zone. Other counters are also looking very positive. For example, MOIL, which you have asked, has it has been in a consolidation zone, but today we are witnessing again a very strong gap up of approximately 5% for the time being. So I'm expecting that this should continue because it is hovering now above the 20-day exponential moving average, and even we are witnessing a positive crossover on the technical indicator front. So I'm expecting that from here onwards there can be a decent up move, but on the higher end 535.40 is the immediate resistance for MOIL. After breaching these levels, again 20 points of upside can be seen.
Right. Can there be any discussion which is complete without getting defense into play, especially when Gaurang is the guest? Gaurang, again, momentum coming back into some of your favorite counters. Which ones remain your favorite in the Panch Pandav that we've discussed? HAL, Cochin, Garden Reach, Mazgaon, BDL, BEML. Actually 6 हैं, but 5 कह देते हैं. पांडव तो ओरिजिनली 6 ही थे.
So Shail, I think last week Wednesday we were in discussion post the budget, and I mentioned there was a lot of pessimism with respect to defense stocks. And there were a lot of arguments that were put forward. They've run up, not enough budgetary allocation towards defense, etc., etc., etc. And I remember mentioning that more pessimism on the street with respect to different stocks, the more excited I get and the more optimistic I get. I'm not talking about 3 months, 6 months, 1 year kind of, time horizon with respect to the defense stocks. You need to look at it with 3 years, 5 years plus kind of, and that actually creates wealth for you. You invest in a value and you create wealth. Wealth is not created with that kind of a time frame with respect to defense sector, because it takes a long gestation period for the order book to get executed, since it is, the complexity, the technicality, the high precisionness of the product is concerned. I remain optimistic on all the stocks. If you ask me, post the numbers, I'm not saying that other numbers are bad, but BEL is something that has been on our buy list on the fundamental side for a pretty long period of time, and BEL numbers, order book, the recent orders that they have gone, looks very exciting, Shell. So, all are good. Given the kind of future prospects of the company and the order book and the earnings visibility is concerned.
Ladies and gentlemen, the markets are upon us. 24,900 is where we start, 43 points higher. The Nifty Bank on its weekly expiry day has opened marginally in the green, 31 points higher. It's done nothing over the last 5 days, 51,535. A nice green tick on Nifty IT, 40,863. And of course, the best of them all, the broadest measure, Nifty 500, is opening 1/3% higher, 6620. Let's just look at what the top index heavyweights are doing. I want to see what HDFC Bank is doing in the green but flat, 1615. How about Reliance, 12 rupees lower, 3012. How about Infosys, 6 rupees higher at 1882. What is in the green? 10 rupees high on ICICI Bank, this is good, 1219. The markets have accepted its muted earnings on the green side. ITC resumes its upward trek, 2 rupees higher, 492.25. Lever is 7 rupees higher. Let's get into the earnings companies. Torrent Power, 7% higher, top gainer on NSE 500. Strong set of earnings, 1719 for you. Gas Authority, no stopping it, 4.8% higher, 244. You have Garden Reach Shipbuilders, a percent higher, 2464. What else is busy? Adani Energy Solutions, 2% higher, 1150. Strong gains that are coming in Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, 2% higher. Multi-commodity exchanges, 1.9% higher. I have a reason why this one's buzzing, 42.79. Let's look at the brokers. This is a space that will be hotly contested today in terms of the news that is coming in. Angel One, 1.7% lower, 2102. I'm very keen to look at what BSE is doing. It's the listed exchange which will have an impact, but 1.4% higher, 2449. This is how the markets have opened. Let's get Osho's view into the conversation. Osho, anything that catches your fancy, and your view on ICICI Bank, now 1% higher, 1222. The earnings are beyond us now and the counter is showing strength. What is your view?
See, for ICICI Bank, there has been a decent move in this counter in the last 3 trading sessions, but overall I am not very much convinced with the formation that is being seen in ICICI Bank, because technically if the body size or candlestick pattern, if the body size is very low, that shows a sign of lack of conviction. So I'm not very much confident in this counter for a higher end. But overall trend remains bullish. It is hovering near the 20-day exponential moving average. So I'm expecting 1200 should be seen as a support, while on the higher end, the target comes around the zone of 1235, 1238 odd levels. So until it gives a very decisive upsurge beyond 1238, there can be some range bound movement that can be seen in ICICI Bank.
Okay. Let's look at Maruti Suzuki, that's now tricking higher, 1.3% higher, and let's get in Gaurang into the conversation. Gaurang, another uptick for Maruti Suzuki amid earnings. How would you really look at the stock now and beyond?
So, Sakshi, my sense is that the SUV product mix is going to drive the earnings from now until going into the future, and I think the hybrid products or offerings that they have are also doing quite well. Export market, which was a little bit sluggish, is starting to do much better. Domestically, one of the best companies in terms of sales of PV vehicles, that is passenger vehicles. Any incremental additional commentary with respect to the EV product that they are planning to launch with respect to the timeline would possibly add to the better sentiments that we already have for Maruti. Since we are discussing the stock, I think it would be prudent on my part to give a disclosure that we do have a fundamental coverage on Maruti from a long-term point of view.
Right.
Let's look at the pharma space. This is the top gaining index as of now, about 0.5% higher. Sakshi, there isn't much in the markets today, at least in the initial part of trade, and that's visible from the advanced decline ratio. 1400 stocks in the green, 700 in the red. So it's already 2:1, but there is no mojo. Nifty Pharma Index is the top gainer, 0.6% higher. We track 19 indices for you, 17 are in the green. Losses are led by the energy index and the small cap index. I can't see any great stock in the moving unless you look at the pharma space where Glenmark is buzzing. Granules India is 4% higher, and of course you have Gland Pharma, Biocon doing 1% each. Osho, would you want to sort of have a view on Glenmark? This is a record high at about 1454, and then maybe Granules 620.
Firstly for Glenmark, yes, this counter is looking very positive. It has been into the cycle of higher highs. There has been no higher lows even formation in the last 3 trading weeks. So there has been a very positive development for this counter. But technically, this counter has entered into a very strong overbought territory. So I am expecting that from here onwards, there can be some kind of subdued movement that can be seen on the higher end. With the kind of movement that it is witnessing, I am expecting nearly 1465 to 1470 as the first target for the day. Once it reaches that, we need to book our profits also, while on the lower end, 1410 to 1420 is a very strong support for this counter. So this level should be acting as a decent accumulation for short-term traders. But overall, the counter has seen a very strong traction, and one might try to book their profits in the coming period.
Okay, got that. Several other stocks which are on the move. Let me just quickly reiterate some of them. Jamna Auto is up by about 4.5%. Skipper is doing well, another 4% uptick for this one. You have Walchand Nagar Industries, another 5% higher in trade. These are the kind of stocks that are on the move. Jyoti Structures is up 5%, and since Shail was also talking about the entire pharma space, Suven Pharma is up another 5% higher in trade. We have the earnings reaction to Dixon Technologies. The stock is higher by about 4% and even within the F&O space, this is one stock that has been buzzing. 361 WAM, another 2% higher after the earnings reaction that can be seen on this one as well. So those are some of the stocks that are on the move and on the prowl right there. But Titagar Rail is falling about 4-5% lower in trade after the numbers have come in. Let's get in Gaurang into the picture. On the railway space, Gaurang, what would your view be? We've seen the momentum that was being built up right ahead of the budget now behind us. What's in the offing for the railway space now?
So, Sakshi, I think given the run-up that we've seen in the railway-related sector stocks, any minor disappointment in the earnings will possibly lead to a rather, more than expected kind of nervousness on the counter as far as the stock prices are concerned. But this is also a story which is long term, like we were discussing defense earlier. This is also a 3-year, 5-year kind of growth story, because whatever changes that are happening to the Indian railways are not going to be done and dusted and completed in the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year time. It's a continuous process. Connectivity and addressing the last mile issue is something that is going to open up opportunities for all those companies which are associated with Indian Railways, whether that is government or private. And order book will also be incrementally more stronger as we go into the future. What we need to look is the capability, experience, and capacity of executing that order book. The sooner they do it, the better translation of earnings will come into picture.
Okay, I think one theme that is running very broadly in the market is the power sector, led by Torrent Power, 5.5% higher, 1678. Again, this is earnings led. Tata Power is up now up 2%, 452. NTPC 1.5% higher, 412. Adani Power is clicking 1.6% higher. JSW in the green, and of course we often look at it, but I hesitate to mark it. But let me just put it forth because there is a digit change. Suzlon now above 70 rupees, 3.2% higher. In the space of power, your favorite chart, Osho, what catches your interest as far as charts are concerned? Do PSU stocks like NTPC make sense, or is it Tata Power, Adani Power? What are you looking at?
See, overall, NTPC is into the radar because it has given a very strong breakout around the zone of 395, and from there onwards it has keep on rallying towards now at 415. So even on the technical front, the kind of breakout that it has given, I'm expecting that in the short run or maybe in 1 to 2 trading session, one can definitely expect a target of nearly 420, 422. Then we can witness some kind of breather, and again if there will be any kind of dip towards the zone of retesting of the breakout around 395 or 400 odd levels, then that should be acting as a very strong accumulation zone for this counter for higher targets. But for the time being, 420, 422 is the immediate target that I am expecting looking at the technical developments. But apart from it, as you have mentioned, that majority of the counters has given a very strong upsurge in today's session. Specifically, Torrent Power has given a very strong breakout, and it is hovering around the higher levels only. So I am expecting that should also continue in the recent period. But looking at the overall sentiment in the power space, if there will be any kind of dip in Torrent Power, for example, approximately near about 1650, 1655 or the bullish gap, then that should be acting very strongly, because again on the technical front it has given a very strong breakout of ascending triangle. So from here onwards the target comes around the zone of 1720. So obviously with today's move we have seen that target to be reached. So any dip towards the neckline of the breakout, that should be acting as a very strong support levels, and one should try to accumulate discount.
Right. Dixon Technologies needs to be what, Sakshi? I can't remember the time when it was the top traded counter with 745 crores worth of volume, 3.5% higher, driven completely by earnings. There's been a dramatic increase in net profit for the first quarter, up 100% at 140 crores, and of course sales rising another 100% at 6,580. A very quick view from you, Gorang, on Dixon Technologies. It's the elephants that have now started to dance in a sector that perhaps is the biggest beneficiary of the PLI scheme. What would you say? 6,580 crores is quarterly sales at Dixon.
Well, I think the opportunity is going to galore because of the EMS and the PLI initiatives that the government has already put in place. We also are, and we heard Honorable Minister Mr. Piyush Goyal and the government's view about Chinese FDI and how we want to counter it in terms of opportunities within our country. Dixon Technologies is the stock that we possibly many years, a long back that we had coverage or something like that. Then, with the kind of rally that we've seen on the stock over the last 6 months to 1 year, the prices are way beyond what our targets were. So we have not initiated any fresh coverage, and currently we don't have any coverage. But I would like to mention a couple of stocks related to the sector dominance the way Dixon Technology has shared. So you have Amber Enterprises, you have Galaxy Surfintents, you have names like MTAR Technologies, and you have names like Dixon Technologies. If you look at the businesses of these four companies, Shail, they are into very niche business. Virtually, there is no peer competition, and the space is open up. The universe is open for them to perform and gather as much of market share as they can. And with the kind of government policies being so supportive, my sense is that these companies will perform quite well over a much longer period of time. However, let me give a disclosure. These were just relative names with respect to the question that you have put forward to me. These are no direct recommendation. I'm just identifying companies which can perform well.
Okay, the one stock that we will continue to watch out for is BSE. The sharp move that's come in at 5.5% higher for Bombay Stock Exchange stock today. Let's get in Osho to help us understand what next after this sharp move. Would you continue to chase the momentum?
Definitely, looking at the trend, there has been a very strong reversal in BSE. So I'm expecting that with the kind of breakout or with the kind of strong move that we are witnessing, it's a kind of flat pattern breakout on the daily time frame. So I'm expecting on the short run, nearly 2600, 2650 should be the target that one can eye for. But this is just for short term. But there has been a strong reversal from the very lows. So I'm expecting that in the coming period, there can be a decent upsurge in the in this counter for a even higher target. So for short term, this is the target, but for longer duration, one should definitely try to accumulate and hold this counter from medium term time.
Got that. So that's the BSE counter that we'll continue to watch out for, and of course the entire space. I think even CDSL is continuing to move for the second day in a row. That's also up by about 2% in trade today. So this is one space that we will continue to keep on our radar. We discussed with you Osho, GAIL. We'll also bring in Gorang into the conversation on the entire oil and gas space and how is he assessing the fresh momentum that is being built across the board, upstream, downstream companies, city gas distributors, all across the board. There is sharp momentum, and even today stocks like MGL, GAIL, we have the entire basket that is up and about. Petronet, LNG, all of these stocks are buzzing. How are you approaching this space?
So I think the most compelling one would be the CGDs, that is the city gas distribution companies.
Okay.
And over there, Mahanagar Gas Limited, Indraprastha Gas Limited, Petronet LNG, and Gujarat Gas. These are some of the names that we have fundamental coverage. Volume growth has been pretty decent on the earnings reported by the respective companies related to the clean and green piped and compressed natural gas, CNG and PNG, as we call it. Government's initiative in terms of improving the distribution pipeline is shaping up quite well, which will result in more consumption, more volumes, and more profitability for the companies. With respect to the fossil fuels, exploration side, ONGC and GAIL are the two names where we have a buy coverage, and on the marketing side, that is the downstream side, we like names like BPCL, HPCL, and IOC.
It's 9:32, ladies and gentlemen. The first 15-17 minutes of trade have lapsed. The Nifty is flat as flat can be, 24,863. It did make an honest effort to go beyond 24,950, but again, this is the same zone where a lot of call writers are active, and you see heavy selling pressure and heavy profit booking coming in. So Nifty is flat. It's the weekly expiry of the bank Nifty. It's doing nothing, 63, 64 points lower. The action is concentrated on the Nifty Energy Index and of course the Nifty Pharma Index. Even today, the railway stocks seem to be in some kind of a profit booking. RVNL, IRFC all showing minor losses. What's in good trade and on the long side is the metal space. This is something that Sakshi has been pointing out over the last 2 or 3 trading sessions, and within the metal space you see Vedanta about 0.5% higher, 442. You have green ticks on Hind Copper. This is about 1.8% higher at 324. The Jindal twins, Jindal Steel and Jindal Steel and Power are up almost 1%. NMDC, Nalco showing strength. Let's get Osho into the conversation. Metals is a high beta counter. Osho, what looks good? Even in the non-index space, counters like NLC India are showing fairly decent upticks. Your choice.
See, overall, there has been a very strong upsurge in overall metal space in the recent period. But for me, the immediate counters or the recent counters which are looking very positive or can be seen as a decent traction in the coming period are from NLC India is also looking very positive. As you have mentioned, it is approximately holding around a very crucial zone of 300 odd levels where it has seen kind of a resilience. So this is a zone where one should definitely keep a watch that after if it sustains above the zone of 300, one should definitely try to accumulate. But this is currently very strong resistance, so better be stay sidelines and watch for 300 to cross on a decisive manner. Other counters which are looking good is JSW Steel has been seen a decent move, and it is on the verge of giving a breakout from the 20-day exponential moving average. So if it does, and 900 being a psychological mark, it has been sustaining above that. So I'm expecting that in the coming period, there can be a decent move in this counter for higher target of nearly 935. So these two counters, one can definitely keep their eyes on if for the short-term perspective. Also, there is one more counter in my radar just now because Midhani is one of the counter which is looking very positive. It has given a very strong breakout of symmetrical triangle. It has retested the neckline of symmetrical triangle and again has started gaining traction. So one should definitely keep this counter also in their radar because I am expecting with the development on technical front, there can be approximately 540 points of upsurge that can be seen in Midhani also.
Okay, let's also get in a word from Gaurang on the entire metal move that we are seeing unfold in front of us. Gaurang, your take?
So, Sakshi, I think infrastructure creation is going to drive two commodity related sectors, that is cement and metals. Cement more so because of the less dependency with respect to the international news flows, especially the kind of news flow has its impact from China on the metals pack. Consumption is likely to go up, no doubt. Raw material input cost has come down considerably, which has bettered the profitable margins and the overall profitability. So, specifically, the names in the metals pack, I think Tata Steel, JSW Steel, GSPL, Hindalco, and Vedanta. These would be the priorities.
Okay, got that. Let's also look at the mid-cap space. A lot of stocks are buzzing within this space beyond BSE and Torrent Power, which we have already discussed. Yes Bank is up 3.7%. GMR Airports is up 3%. You have Suzlon that's buzzing 2.5% higher. Fact is buzzing 2% up. Syngene. You have Steel Authority of India. KPIT Technologies is also buzzing in trade, 1.5% up. Biocon is buzzing, Ipca Labs. So some pharma names are also coming back. Gaurang, pharma names, what's your take there? And any particular favorites that have come on your radar of late?
Favorites are one too many, to be very honest with you. And we have a dozen plus names in the large cap and mid cap universe. But in times of uncertainty, I think two sectors always comes to your spotlight, that is pharma and IT. But there has been relatively good numbers also for the pharma pack. So if I have to pick some odd names out in the mid cap universe, then Zydus Wellness, Zydus Life, Aurobindo Pharma, Netco Pharma are the names amongst the small stroke mid cap universe. Large cap names would include Dr. Reddy's, Divi's, Sun Pharma, and Cipla. Numbers are also pretty decent for these companies, whatever you see.
Sakshi, I think it's the metals that are taking it away. You have the index up almost a percentage point here, and it's broken out fairly sharply. And of course, we've discussed the fundamental as well as the technical ones that are making sense. Let's look at CDSL. I think a breakout is due, and 25.29. Needless to say, it's moving towards a record high. How do you see CDSL Osho in the light that yesterday there was a 10% uptick on CAMS?
See, overall this counter, all the counters, BSE, CDSL, CAMS, these counters are in a primary uptrend. There can be a minor hiccups or profit booking in between for these counters, but that are auguring very well for the buyers. So for CDSL, again, it has been on the 52-week high, I guess. So this is a very strong momentum that can be seen in this counter. Overall momentum stays on the higher end. On the lower end, the support is at 2300, which is quite a decent correction if I have to say, but 2300 is a very strong support zone, and on the higher end with the kind of setup it has made, approximately 150 kind of a movement can be expected in this counter. So near about 2650, 2670 is the zone where one can see this counter to head in for in the near period. Overall momentum is very positive, trend is very positive. It is in a cycle of higher highs, higher lows. So even in future any dip comes towards 2350 or 2400 odd levels, one should definitely try to accumulate for higher targets of 2650 to 70.
I think the market, especially the AMC as well as the broking community, has taken this white consultative paper from the SEBI on curbing derivative volumes with quite a bit of, how should I say, sensibility and maturity. Actually, BSE is in the green, 5.7% higher, 2551. You would have imagined that this one would suffer very, very badly because 15% of its revenue, 15% of market share in the options business is with BSE. And of course, their popular indices, BankX and Sensex, one of them will have to go. I would imagine it would be the BankX because Sensex has been, how should I say, the cornerstone of Indian equity markets. But then such is life. What's moving and moving greatly? It's Gas Authority, 5% higher. Sakshi, I think we'll need to take Osho's view on this one.
Yes.
This is again driven by a very, very strong set of numbers, which we will discuss. But I just wanted to see whether this is a record high or not. Yes, it is. Where is this headed, Osho? 245.3.
See, overall, for the short-term perspective, the kind of breakout it has given from the zone of 220, we have witnessed a kind of a U-turn in this counter, and on the higher end, approximately 235, 240 was the breakout zone. So I'm expecting with the kind of movement, 260 is the positional target for this counter. Immediately 250-52 should be seen as the immediate target. And this being a heavyweight, I'm not very much aggressive that in a day it should move approximately 10 or 12%. But overall, this counter looks very positive for positional basis also. 260 should be the target that one can eye for on positional basis.
Right. Viewers, again, let me reiterate the earnings for you. Revenue for GAIL was up 6% at 34,738 crores, higher than the street estimates. EBITDA improved by 80% at 4,790 crores. And margins also came in at 13.8% versus 8.1%. The net profit jumped up 77.5% at 3,183 odd crore rupees for the company. We've also seen several upgrades come in. City on GAIL came out with a report saying that transmission and trading have driven the strong beat on the numbers. EBITDA is almost 33% higher than their own estimates, while PAT is a 47% beat on the estimates that Citi had for GAIL. And they are enthused by GAIL's robust Q1 performance, and they have maintained the buy rating with a target price of 250, which is just now near for the stock right now, which is already hovering at record high levels. And this is definitely the top mover on the PSE index right now. A very strong move that is being seen on GAIL as of now. Let's talk about the other stocks that are buzzing in the F&O space now, Osho. GMR Airports Infra, after some bit of consolidation and lying low for some time, it's again back up and about. What next for this space?
See, GMR has given a very strong breakout, and 100 being a psychological mark, sustaining above that level is a very strong measure for this counter. So I'm expecting with the kind of breakout that this counter have seen, the immediate term target comes around the zone of 106 to 108. So definitely on the higher end, 108 is the next potential target for this counter. But overall trend is very positive. So I'm expecting that even though from positional basis, 108 can be also broken up for the higher targets of 112 or 15 odd levels. But on technical front, 108 is the immediate target that one can definitely take their positions for short-term perspective.
9:44, ladies and gentlemen, we've had the first half an hour of trade. As usual, both the Nifty and the Bank Nifty remain in a consolidated phase in a sideways manner. That has been the trend over the last 2 or 3 trading sessions, caught in a 200-point cleft as far as the Nifty is concerned, and about a 350-point range as far as Bank Nifty is concerned, whose weekly expiry is today. Therefore, it's lying flat as flat can be. What's buzzing? Well, it's the cash markets, and why not? It's pharma. Lupin now 2.2% higher, 1913. You have a very strong move on Laurus Labs, 1.3% higher, 468. Some parts of chemicals are doing very well. The top one of them, the biggest wealth creator, SRF, 2638, now 3% higher. Paint companies are making a comeback, 3081 as far as Asian Paints is concerned, 1.9% higher. Biocon from the pharma space doing pretty well, and earnings led themes, Gas Authority, Dixon Technologies, Torrent Power, all of them doing pretty well. We have a strong move on CDSL, which is now mirrored by the Bombay Stock Exchange, and of course within the sugar space, you have their high beta counter, Sri Renuka Sugars, now at about 54 rupees. So that's how the markets are structured at the moment. Metals, pharma, and oil and gas taking it away. Sakshi.
Right, absolutely. We'll also look at a few more stocks that are on the move. I'll ask you on Bharti Airtel, which is now ticking higher, Osho, about 0.8% up that can be seen on this one, picking up pace further, 1482. Your own sense?
See, overall, this counter is definitely in a very higher trend in the cycle of higher highs and taking very strong support from the 20-day exponential moving average. But on the higher end, the zone of 1500 has a strong accumulation on the call writing, and being a psychological mark can be seen as the immediate hurdle for this counter. So until it gives a sustenance above 1500, the next target is not gonna be seen in the near future. But if it sustains above the zone of 1500, then definitely one can eye for 1540 for short-term perspective. So it is on a higher range. It is having a very strong momentum also, but there can be a gradual up move that one can expect, not a very aggressive movement for intraday or day traders.
Okay, got that. The other one that is on the move within the F&O space is Jubilant Foodworks, 3% higher in trade. Any trend that you can spot here, Osho?
Yes, for Jubilant Food, it is having a very strong momentum and it is on the verge of giving a double bottom breakout on the daily and weekly time frame. So this level, the zone of 590 and 600 will be very crucial to watch for this counter, because this is a very strong resistance. Even previously also the same zone near about 590 has seen as a very strong resilience level. So until it gives a very decisive and sustainability above the zone of 590 or 600 odd levels, one should stay sidelines. But the time it breaches the zone of 600, then there can be a very drastic upsurge. For short term, 650 should be the target, but for medium term time frame, approximately 120 point of upsurge can be seen. So near about 720 should be the target from medium term time frame.
I think let's revisit Torrent Power, Sakshi. This is a 10% uptick on Torrent, and of course driven by earnings. Not only is it a gap up, I see huge volumes coming in. This one is, let me just get the numbers right. I've never seen this kind of volumes on Torrent Power. Okay, yes, 4.5 times higher than the 5-day average. So 29 lakh shares have been traded. Remember, this is earnings led. Let's get Osho's view into Torrent Power. This is a record high. Should we chase this momentum?
Certainly, yes, one should definitely chase the momentum, because looking at the trend, because it has given a ascending triangle breakout that has been backed by very strong volumes, that too even in the first half an hour of the trading session. So that means there has been very strong momentum that can be seen in this counter. But for short term perspective, 1780 to 1800 should be the immediate target for the day. What I expect, but again looking at the momentum, 10% it has already moved, so approximately it can move even beyond another 10% also. So but overall momentum is there. Technical setup is also favoring the breakout, so I'm expecting that on the positional basis also there can be a strong upsurge that can be seen in this counter. So not very much aggressive. One should not be very much aggressive if one wants to enter at current levels. One should stay on the lighter note with a staggered manner of accumulation in this counter for short-term perspective. But for positional basis, yes, there is very strong potential, and one can definitely accumulate this counter for short to medium-term time frame.
Okay, I think Sakshi has a brokerage report on Torrent Power, but look at the net profit, which has risen 88% for the first quarter year on year to almost 1,000 crores, and sales have surged 23% to 9,034 crores in the 3 months that have just been coming up. This is a very, very strong show. Let's look at the OPM. 21%. Okay, now OPM at 21% is compared with 16% in the year ago period, and for March 2024 quarter it was 17%. No wonder you see such a sharp surge in the stock price. Margin is up, profit is up, and of course the top line is also going up dramatically. Sakshi, do I remember you reading a brokerage report on Torrent Power?
No, it was just the earnings which I had read. I do not have any Torrent Power report right now. I'm trying to scout for any, if there is a new report that has come. I'll definitely reiterate for our viewers in case it's right there in front of me. Not for now that I have, but Dixon Technologies is something that brokerage houses have come out with the reports on, something that we've been discussing, where at least both Goldman Sachs and CLSA have a slightly lower, targets for Dixon Technologies. Goldman Sachs has a sell rating with a target price of 67.40, and CLSA has downgraded Dixon to hold. But they have raised the target price to 11,400, but even that is low, below the stock price right now. This is despite the strong management commentary on high value addition and keeping an eye on the low gross margins that is coming in. Dixon Technologies, would you have a view, Osho, and tell us, how are you really looking at this one?
See, overall, this counter is into a very strong upsurge movement, but looking at the recent development that it has corrected from the zone of nearly 12,700 odd levels towards uh, 10,800 odd levels. Again, it is trying to move on the higher end, but again, being 12,600, 700 being a very strong resilience for this counter. So until it breaches that zone on a sustainable basis, better to stay sidelines and dip towards the zone of 10,800, 11,000 should be auguring well for the buyers for the short term perspective. So immediately approximately 11,000 is the support zone and 12,700 is the resistance. So I'm expecting that in between there can be some hovering that can be seen in this counter. So one should try to buy on the dips and sell on the rise.
Buy on dips and sell on rise as of now. So that's the view that's coming in. What else is moving within the markets? We'll keep an eye out on India VIX. Remember, viewers, yesterday also there was a lot of volatility. It's at 13.2 odd levels, 2.5% higher in trade. Not alarming as of now, but we'll keep an eye out on it. What has moved up in the last few minutes at the top spot on the Nifty is Asian Paints, 2.5% higher at 3,080. Remember, this was one stock that sharply went lower on the back of weak earnings and of course the rising concerns of competition increasing in this space for the company, but it was soon to recover and all those losses in the next few days, and the stock is back on the upward trajectory again. Within the paint space, we also have some more brokerage houses reports that are coming in on especially stocks like Kansai Nerolac. That was another stock that we had checked a few days ago again. Let's ask Osho, on the paint space, how are you looking at some of these counters, Asian, Berger, Kansai?
See, firstly, Asian Paint is looking very positive to me. Two reasons. One, it has given a very strong U-shaped recovery from the zone of its cluster moving averages, 20-21-day exponential moving average. And secondly, it has overcome above the 200-day SMA after a very long period. And today is the next or a follow-up buying that can be seen. So I'm expecting with the kind of strong rally or a strong traction that can be seen in the last three trading sessions, I think that this should sustain on the higher end. 3,000 now should be acting as a very strong support. 3,000 to 2980 is the zone that should be acting as a very strong support for this counter. While on the higher end, with the kind of immediate movement, first resistance is near about 3,080 odd levels, which is the bearish gap. But once it surpasses those zones, then we can witness a strong rally towards 3,200, 3,250 odd levels. So this is looking very positive, and one should definitely try to accumulate this counter once it breaches the zone of the bearish gap, the bearish gap is at 3,100. 3,080 is the current trading levels. So 3,100 is approximately the bearish gap. So once it breaches the zone of 3,100, then one should definitely try to accumulate. Other target comes around 150 plus points from 3,100.
9:55, ladies and gentlemen. Sakshi, look at angel broking. One would have imagined this one to take the biggest hit because of the changes that SEBI is taking a consultative paper from. A low of 2,083 and now 2,185. So 100-point uptick that has come in. Now the counter is in the green. But remember, there has been a very, very large bout of profit booking that has come into angel broking over the last 7-8 months or so. Let me just get you the all-time high. The all-time high was 3,700 and 3,800 something. This was when we saw on 15th of January, and from then on it's corrected to 2177. Let me just draw something interesting on this one and then get back to you. Okay, so this is how it is. and it's a sectoral move. CDSL record high, CAMS record high, BSE is moving because CDSL is moving 2591. So that's how it is. I mean, the market reading something positive out of what the consultative paper is, but my understanding is that all the selling is done, and possibly that's the reason why you see money coming back into Bombay Stock Exchange in particular, and of course Angel One. Sakshi, what else are you watching?
Well, Shail, apart from this, of course, it's the metals pack that have been holding up strong. JSW Steel, Hindalco, they are the ones that are moving up. ITC is now inching back about 1% higher in trade within the Nifty pack again. Autos and the auto ancillary space is something that we will continue to watch out for. Remember, tomorrow is when we get the auto sales numbers. So across the board, the focus will be on how the autos space have performed. Auto space has performed in this month. Monthly sales figures that will be coming in, and the auto ancillary names are also buzzing in trade. We had talked about how Jamna Auto was up in the moves. I think the entire space, the Albros Auto is now 5%, 5.5% higher. Munjal Shova is up 4%. Igrashi Motors, Jai Bharat Maruti, Munjal Auto, all of these stocks, steel strip wheels, they are abuzz with all the action. So quickly, if you could give us your comment, Osho, on both the auto as well as the auto ancillary pack. Top favorite stocks within the momentum that we are seeing here.
See, from auto sector, obviously, I guess Tata Motors would have been one of the recommendations for all the analysts in the recent period, but it has already moved very strongly. So I'm expecting now there can be a kind of breather in Tata Motors, but it is still looking very positive to me. It has given a breakout. So I'm expecting that if in future any dip comes towards the zone of 1100, that should be auguring very well for the buyers. The other counter is Mahindra and Mahindra. It is also on the verge of breakout, but today I guess there is a result for this counter, so I have no view over it. But overall, technically, it is looking very positive, and I'm expecting if everything comes in line, then it can showcase a very strong number of approximately the immediate target that I am eyeing for is 3100 for this counter. But looking at the overall financial or quarterly earnings, then we need to review the counter once the results are out. But overall, it is also looking very positive. Now, from the auto ancillaries, Jamna Auto, as you have mentioned, it has given a very strong breakout on the weekly time frame or even on the daily time frame. So I am expecting that with the kind of a strong move that it has seen in the recent period, it has the potential to test the zone of 160, 165. So this count is looking very positive to me. On the lower end, 137, 136 is the support zone. On the higher end, nearly 160, 65 is the target. So one can try to gauge momentum in this counter also. So overall, auto ancillary companies are looking very positive. Just one need to have a closer look that when they are going to announce their result and accordingly can position their trades in these counters.
Okay, got that. Well, many thanks, Osho, for being with us in the morning edition. Viewers, we'll have to wrap it up at that, but do stay tuned. The day is full of action for all of you. Earnings conversations abuzz. We will also be focusing in greater detail on the SEBI concerns in the F&O space and what are various top market experts saying on this issue, and bring you up to speed with all of those thought processes as well. The Nifty Bank is flattish with a negative bias, but the Nifty is still holding up 24,911 at this point in time. Clearly, the metals, the oil and gas space, especially stocks like GAIL, MGL, these are the ones that are buzzing in trade. From the power space, Torrent Power, NTPC, these are the counters that are on the buzz. Barring, say, the realty space, PSU banks as of now, rest of the sectors, they are all buzzing up and about right here. We'll wrap it up at that, but do stay tuned on to Business Today Television. Like I said, a lot is lined up for you, so stay tuned. Until then, it's a goodbye from me for this being, for this time being, from both Shail and me.
Good Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our special edition on earnings for the first quarter on Business Today Television. We are thrilled to welcome Mr. Vineet Agarwal, Managing Director at Transport Corporation of India Limited. This is India's largest